I'm going to call up and introduce in just a second an individual that I think is really important to this ecosystem. And when we think about Promise Partners, we think about Promise Partners supporting people to be good buyers. And when we think of this individual in the organization, we think of Manufacturing Works. How do we position people to be good sellers? And so with that, I have the privilege of introducing Ken Patsy. Ken is the President and Executive Director of Manufacturing Works. Ken is a graduate of Kenyon College, where he completed his undergraduate studies in economics. He has an MBA with an emphasis of finance from Weatherhead. And prior to joining Manufacturing Works as President and Executive Director in 2019, a majority of his career was spent in financial services, including the position of Senior Managing Director in charge of equity capital markets at KeyCorp. Please give a warm welcome to Ken.
Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate that. About 6 weeks ago, my friend and former board chair, James Domingo, also a longtime member of Promise Partners, put me in touch with Scott Lowry. Going into that call, I thought part of the mission of our organization was to help give Cleveland a place in the ETA world. After I got off the call, I was convinced that Cleveland was, in the words of the great Aaron Kaplan, the epicenter of ETA. And next slide, if I may. They put this, Scott and Aaron's team put this together about what's going on here, right? And when you look at that, that's impressive. That's hard for anybody to compete with. So the number of organizations that are involved in this space, in this area, is really quite impressive. And when I got off that call with Scott, I knew two things. One, he shared my passion for ETA, but I also understood that he shared my passion for collaboration. And so I just want to thank Scott and Aaron both for the opportunity to come here and tell you about what we're doing at Manufacturing Works. My first message to those that are looking to buy a company is manufacturing is back. All right? And some of you that are younger are saying back from where, right? You know, I grew up in Parma, Ohio in the 60s and 70s. Got my first job in 1980. And on the way over here, I was trying to think, did I know anybody that wasn't working for the school system, the city, or a manufacturer, right? And I couldn't think of anyone. You know, my dad worked at a place called Acme Cleveland. A lot of people worked at the Parma GM plant, others at the Ford Brook Park plant. You know, manufacturing was part of almost all of our lives, right? And so for about 50 years, for a lot of different reasons, it sort of had its ass kicked, right? But, you know, within the last 5 years or so, it started to come back. And I think it's on a trajectory that's going to last for a long time. I don't have time to get into that, but if you want to have a couple beers sometime, I'll make the argument to you. So if you're looking for a company and manufacturing is not on your list of possibilities, put it on your list. Why are we in the ETA business at Manufacturing Works? A little bit about who we are if you don't know. We're a 501c3, and we help manufacturers, mostly small, mid-sized manufacturers, with anything that's important to their business. And we're able to do that because, so we deal with about 1,200 manufacturers in Northeast Ohio. We also work with what we call supporting members. So there's over 100 companies that are business service companies that want to help manufacturers as well, right? So it's accountants, it's attorneys, it's bankers, it's engineering firms, construction firms, et cetera. And what we're really good at is creating programming that puts those two together. So we get manufacturers in the room with service providers when they're looking for their help, and we bring in really good service providers to be able to help them. When I was interviewing for the job about 5 years ago, we were talking about the programming in the organization, and I had noted that in their strategic plan that they had just done the year before, that there was an indication that they wanted to help businesses transition. But they didn't really have a program. And so I asked, why do you care? And they said, well, you know, Ken, we've been seeing progressively more and more these small business owners are coming to us and they're saying, my kids don't want the business, I don't know what to do. I can't get any help. And often they would see these businesses just liquidate. And it was 5 employees, 10 employees, 20 employees, 40 employees. Not front page news, but lots of them, right? So I got it. There's an economic development issue here as well. So I then asked myself, okay, I'm hearing that, But why isn't there help? Again, part of our culture is if there's a good private market solution or another nonprofit solution, we're supposed to go get that and bring that. We're not going to compete with something that already exists. And so I said, I got to find out why there isn't that solution out there in the marketplace. So the first thing I looked up Exit Planning Institute did a study, and it had an interesting statistic in it, which it said in the United States, if you look at private businesses, the success rate for businesses that try to transition when there's not a family member to take over, the success rate is about 18%. And I thought, wow, that echoes what I'm hearing from Manufacturing Works. The second thing that I did then is I went and I met with probably 50 accounts attorneys. Being in finance, I had lots of friends that did this stuff. And I said to them, why are they coming to us? Why aren't you doing this work? And they said, Ken, honestly, we run from this stuff. Because Ken, you're in the transactions business. Your biggest cost, like our biggest costs, are busted deals. It's spending time, money, and effort on something that doesn't happen. And so many of these deals don't happen. And so we only take them as favors. And I thought, wow. So there's an opportunity. There's a problem here, it's an opportunity. And obviously 18%, that's an inefficient market, right? So how do you make an inefficient market more efficient? Education. If we can educate buyers and sellers, if we can have educated participants in this marketplace, we could maybe have a better completion rate than 18%. So we started on that path by first starting to train our business owners, and we started our business transition program. And we're really well positioned to do this because our subject matter experts, the business service companies, do it for free because they hope for referrals, of course, during the program. So it's a very small fee to go through our program. We have to pay for our work, and that's basically it. It's 24 different classes, everything from helping them build a data room to personal finance, to their employees, et cetera. We try to answer all the questions that end up causing deals not to happen once they get into it, right? So that they come prepared. So that's really was our goal, is to create prepared sellers, right? At the same time, we said, hey, why can't we go a step further and create a marketplace to buy and sell these companies, right? So we've also done some work around something we call the Leadership Institute to work with potential owners or potential leaders that can work with other owners to help them know what it's like to lead a manufacturing organization. We're coordinating with Scott and his team, as well as with Promise Partners, to coordinate our efforts so that what we're teaching complements each other. And then the last piece of the equation is buyers, sellers, and capital, right? So the last piece of that equation is capital. And so one of the things we wanted to do is try to find someone who had the same approach that we did to this marketplace. And thankfully, we were introduced to Brendan Anderson at ScaleCo. If you might have heard him earlier today. And the idea was we were funded by the Cleveland Foundation to do our Leadership Institute, partly because we believe from a business perspective that diversity is better. If you have a diverse company, a diverse system, it's going to be better. And so we committed to the Cleveland Foundation that we were going to try to get at least 50% women and people of color into our program. But the best we could do is prepare them to be qualified potential buyers of the companies we were selling. You can't force someone to sell a company to someone, right? And they did fund us on that basis. But we wanted to take it a step further. And with the fund that we're talking to Brendan about doing is we want to be able to be more intentional. The fund can buy that company, and then we can go find that right person to buy it and be able to intentionally make that a diverse set of buyers when we go into it. So that's it. That's sort of what we're doing. We welcome you to communicate to us. Let's just talk about it, right? And we love to hear what people are doing in the space. By the way, if you're not participating in Promise Partners or in Scott's program, you're making a mistake. You should. They do fantastic work, and we've been very impressed with the people in it. In fact, Aaron and his team bought one of our companies, and they are exactly the type of owner we're talking about. They're hiring people in their community. They're growing the company. They're training their people. It's everything you want. So that's it. Thanks very much.